Welcome back. Hopefully things are getting warmer here. Anybody who claims Boston's too cold didn't get the memo that we can change the thermostat anytime we want. All right. So I'm Ramesh Raskar, professor here at MIT, and we're going to tell you about kind of a 10-year-long journey we are on to create the Internet of AI. Clearly, we are very careful about calling in the Internet of AI because we're building many building blocks of it. And today we're going to release and preview how with many of our partners, we have built multiple pieces of it. But at the end of the day, we think Nanda is more of a quilt where there are many sub-problems that need to be solved. Whether it's about data, as we heard from Vana, whether it's about compute, whether it's about creating agents, whether it's about agent marketplaces, agent communications, tuning, privacy protocols. There are many pieces of this puzzle that people in this room and elsewhere have already worked on. So our goal is to really kind of start putting those pieces together. And there are many white spaces, there are many aspects of this that are actually not solved. So at MIT and other places, there's great research going on. So we want to identify those white spaces and make sure we are moving in the right direction. All right. So Nanda, the Internet of AI agents, imagine billions, maybe trillions of agents that are navigating, communicating on our behalf, that can seamlessly socialize, learn, earn, and transact. Sometimes autonomously, sometimes with human in the loop. And the question is, if you have billions of agents talking to other billions of agents, that's like Metcalfe's law, n square. That's like 2 to the 18, 2 to the 19, sorry, 10 to the 18, 10 to the 19 connections we're talking about. So that's a massive research problem we have to solve, just from a communication point of view. But there's also other problems that I will talk about. Next slide. So how many here have heard about MCP and agent-to-agent protocol and so on? They really took the oxygen out of the air, right? Okay, yeah. So I think this room probably has a bigger megaphone than the big tech companies, but this is a good thing. So think of those of you who don't know, think of MCP as, of course, it stands for Model Context Protocol, which means Anthropic said the model Claude needs a context, and for that context, there's a protocol. So it's a very model-centric view of what Anthropic is put out. Just like, hey, if I'm using Claude and I ask some questions about my Spotify list or my shopping, it needs a little bit more context. So can it go on Shopify? Can it go to Booking.com and bring that information in to run that? So it's a model for which you need more context. As amazing as that is, I think we don't want to make it model-centric. We want to make it human-centric. I want to be centered about me. So a lot to be done. But the good thing about the MCP protocol, it's open, it's very lightweight, and we can discuss later on over beverages what it really means. The other one is A2A protocol from Google, agent to agent. I think much better branding, A2A, than MCP, that nobody will remember. So we had to give credit to the marketing team at Google. But nevertheless, you can think of them as TCP/IP of the original internet. It allows two machines to talk to each other. But TCP/IP did not give you Uber and Facebook and Hinge, right? So clearly we have to do much more than just building TCP/IP. Next slide. So for Nanda protocol, Nanda architecture, we want to go beyond the communication protocols, right? So think of Nanda as an architecture, just like you have architecture for the internet, DNS and so on. And then we want to support all these activities within that architecture will have multiple protocols, such as MCP and A2A and many others. And each of those protocols could have dozens of implementations, right? So each MCP could have implementation. We're going to show some other protocols within Nanda architecture that will have things so on. Next slide. And maybe this is an important slide that you should remember. Today we are kind of the mainframe era of AI. Those of us who remember DOS, everything was command line. That's where all the kids are doing today. You go to Cloud or ChatGPT, it's all command line, right? You type comments, you type commands and something comes back. That's where we are at. From that, we are going to the intranet of AI, which is like agentic AI. So Salesforce, Crew, Sierra, these are all agents that work within a walled garden, within a closed system, and they all know each other's identity, and they work in a safe environment, right? So that's the intranet of AI. So trusted known topology. From there, from intranet, we go to the world of internet, very scary world, right? Because if you remember in the 90s, you don't know who you are, a lot of scammy websites, you can't really feel safe about using a credit card, and so on. And that's equivalent of the decentralized AI, where you don't know a priori what the topology is, and you cannot trust them. But to go from internet to the web was a massive shift, because the internet was like FTP, Gopher, and Telnet, and so on. And from there to go to the web, we needed 4 things. So Tim Berners-Lee right here started the World Wide Web Consortium, and there are 4 things that were critical. HTTP for the servers, HTML for rendering, URLs for discovery, and the browser. Okay? And with those 4 components, in retrospect, they sound really easy, but he was able to take those 4 main components to transform internet to the World Wide Web, right? And so we can blame all our time sink on that era in 1991. So what does it mean for us to go from the internet of AI to the World Wide Web of AI? That's what we're talking about. That's Nanda. Okay, that's the architecture we're talking about. Next slide. All right, so there are many algorithmic challenges in this. There are many economic challenges in this. Knowledge markets, incentives, how to have collaboration, competition at the same time, and so on. Algorithmically, verification, discovery mechanisms, and so on. Next slide. So, our lab here has been working on this for many, many years. We were the first one to invent AutoML algorithms, AI that designs better AI. We also invented privacy-preserved machine learning. Some of you might know federated learning, but actually it turns out it's not so good for agentic communication, because it has to behave more like an API. So we invented something called split learning back in 2017. So that's very, very compatible with this. Data markets, Anna was talking a little bit about this. So we invented pricing mechanisms for data and models, intrinsic value, not market-based value. And then, of course, decentralization. All right, so with that, I'm going to hand it off to our brilliant scientist, Pradyumna Chari, and he'll walk you through what this whole thing means.
Awesome. Yeah, am I audible? Yes. Great. I've never used such a cool mic before. So, okay. Thank you so much, Ramesh, for that introduction. So, I think our goal today is to talk to you about this Internet of Agents, Nanda, whatever you call it. Just give you a sense for it. I think we have a big presentation tomorrow morning as well, where we'll go into the details. But yeah, so as Ramesh mentioned, we are very inspired by existing protocols, existing work that is out there, like Model Context Protocol from Anthropic or A2A from Google, which talk about how LLMs can talk with tools, agents can talk with agents, LLMs can talk with LLMs, all the permutations and combinations, right? And we start from there. So we've been working on developing Nanda for a long time now, an entirety of 2 weeks since we started working on this. But that's how fast we move, right? And that's how fast the space is moving. But we started with MCP that exists out there. And the way a lot of people interact with MCP today is using some of these popular hosts like Claude Desktop or Cursor or some of the other things. And often what you have to do with, at least with Claude Desktop and with a lot of other popular hosts, is even though there exist so many MCP servers out there. Last time I was on one of those websites, it was at 8,000, maybe it's more now. But a vast majority of those are actually GitHub repos. So you go to the GitHub repo, you clone the repo locally, you run the server on the same system as the Claude Desktop, and then you have MCP working for you, right? So you do everything. The code's out there, but you do everything. So that's MCP v1 that we started out with. So you have a host, you clone the server, you clone the repo, run it locally, and access tools. So about a week and a half ago, we demonstrated what we call v2.1 we've been hosting a bunch of these webinars. How many of you have been to one of our webinars before? Yeah, like decent number. So yeah, a couple of days ago, a week ago or so, we demonstrated V2.1, where we demonstrated a custom host that I'll show you in a bit later, that's able to communicate with MCP servers that exist anywhere out there. Now there exists some other hosts that do that already, but building towards something here. So we demonstrated a custom host that's able to talk to any MCP server that is hosted out there on the web, and broaden the context of your LLM host. As we move forward today and tomorrow, what you'll see is what we call our Nanda v1.0 or MCP v3, whatever you'd like to call it, where we'll be demonstrating a host that's capable of talking with this primitive Internet of Agents, a protocol that allows for, of course, agent-to-agent and agent-to-tool communication, where we take inspiration from MCP and A2A, but also so many other critical things that we think are required in this Internet of Agents, aspects such as logging, discovery, transaction, reputation, and so much more. And we also demonstrate a registry. Think of this as a DNS type registry, an identity affirming registry for this Internet of Agents, where you host your agents, tool, or where you post, not host, where you post your agents, resources, tools, and make them discoverable on this Internet of Agents. I'll talk more about this moving forward as well. So this is what we're going towards, and I'll touch upon all of these aspects a bit today, and of course you'll hear a lot more in detail tomorrow when Ramesh talks about it. But our goal today is to get you acquainted with this and talk to you about how you can participate with us. Because as Ramesh said, this is a quilt, this is an architecture, this is a hub. We want to bring all of the amazing people in this room together to build the Internet of Agents together and not just do it ourselves. So yeah, that's the conversation we are having here today. Any questions briefly? Yeah, I'll take only two. Yeah. Change them. The LLM, we are currently using a Claude, but that doesn't matter at all. We can use any LLM. Our host is custom. I'll demonstrate right now.
There's some more space in the front, at least 50 square feet left. At least 5-6 people can sit in the front. Come on up. Please continue.
All right. Great. So with that being said, I'm going to quickly talk to you about the 4 components. Actually, there's 5, but I'll talk to you about 4 today. 4 components of Nanda that I'll be talking to you about today, that we'll be demonstrating in more detail tomorrow. 4 things. First is the host. Think of host as something similar to the Claude desktop that you use, or the ChatGPT, or the Claude that you use on the browser. A host is, you can think of it as the front-end interface that talks with an LLM on the back end. And our host is designed specifically to be on this Nanda architecture protocol, this Internet of Agents. So it is able to discover all of these agents, resources, tools that are in our DNS type registries. The second is the registry. Right now, we are looking at this registry, as I said, as something that affirms identity to agents, resources, tools out there. And this registry works with the Nanda protocol. So it's also able to enable aspects such as reputation, identity, of course, verification, and so much more. The third is where all of you, one of the ways where all of you come in, which is actually hosting your agents, posting your agents on this Internet of Agents, and making it discoverable to all of these entities that are talking together with the Nanda protocol. And the fourth is the protocol itself. The protocol is, of course, about agent-to-agent communication, where the communication itself, but a lot of other important aspects, as I mentioned already, like reputation, discovery, all of those things. So with that being said, I'm going to touch upon all of these very, very briefly, and try to give you a few demos on the way as well. So first is the protocol. We, of course, take inspiration and start off from MCP, which is, as Ramesh said, a very sort of LLM-centric view of protocol. So how do I give my large language model the context of all the tools that exist out there? And we build on top of it. We've added a bunch more capabilities to the protocol. that I'll briefly talk to you about. The first is certificates. I think we all working in the decentralized AI space, we all, I think, are more than aware of identity, certification, so on and so forth. So first, very simple but very necessary, affirming the identity of agents on the web of agents. The second is this idea of coupons. So as agents talk to agents, agents talk to tools, tools talk to tools, again, all the permutations. We want there to be a notion of coupons that are associated with the identities of interacting agents. And we think these coupons will be very, very critical moving forward and the backbone for important aspects such as reputation, transactions, discovery, search, so much more. Third is the idea of registration. As I said, similar to how the World Wide Web operates, and moving on that intuition, we think the first step towards building the Internet of Agents, and of course the Internet includes services like Google, LinkedIn, Uber, all of these things, right? But the foundation layer that is required to enable all of this for agents is the idea of identity and registration and discovery and visibility. And that's what our registries enable. We'll also be coming out with a software developer kit, SDK, for developers to work with Nanda. So to make it easy to host your Nanda nodes, Nanda servers, build your own clients and hosts, add your apps, services, tools to the registry, and just be part of the entire ecosystem. And most importantly, as I mentioned, this is an open source endeavor. Our goal is not to build the Internet of Agents. Our goal is to sort of put forward a vision for an Internet of Agents and then bring all of you smart folks on board so that we can collectively take this forward and build the next cool thing together. That being said, so that's a high level on the protocol. Then let's talk about the registry. So as I mentioned, we are building the Nanda registry as a form of affirming identity to agents, resources, tools out there, but also several other services like search, discovery, so much more. So let me give you a quick sneak peek at how this registry looks like. So you can go to the registry today. It's hosted online at ui.nandaregistry.com. And if I go to Explorer, oh, last I checked, there were 35. So we are still adding a lot more every minute. But yeah, so here is a registry of a bunch of, right now, MCP and Nanda servers that are online, hosted, and ready to use with any host that you build or the host that I'll show to you right now. So this is from a bunch of folks that are in this room already, I know, and a bunch of our commercial partners, a lot of folks that who are already working with us have gone ahead and started.
How many people in this room actually launched already?
Yeah, I think there's a bunch already. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I think I can see about 5 or 6 hands already, but I think a lot of folks who will be there tomorrow as well will have already launched here. Last I checked, we are basically doubling every day over the last 3 days. So this is not a good metric, of course. I told you we started working on this 2 weeks ago, right? So everything is on a short lead.
20 days to take over.
Yeah. the folly of exponents.
There's some good ones.
Yeah.
Anybody here from Mitsubishi? Zafar's here. So Anymile is the API from Mitsubishi Electric. It's a very popular protocol for logistics. So they're there. I believe HCL Tech is here, which is a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah.
So they're already on this. Excellent, thank you. And a few others.
So we have HCL Tech, we have Mitsubishi, we have a bunch of other startups, member companies, folks who are here. All of these are live. I will show you our host, and you can potentially work with that as well. Talk with these. So as I said, this is our live registry. This is the front end. We have a hosted backend as well, where you can look at the API spec that the registry supports. And we, as I mentioned, we are taking inspiration from the internet. So this is not the registry, this is a registry. We already have at least 2 more registries, distributed registries that are hosted. One is in Brazil, one is in Ohio. Another one will be up in Switzerland very soon. We are talking with a bunch of other partners around the world to be hosting these distributed registries that will be synced. And so, yeah, forming sort of the bedrock for this Internet of Agents. And I'll talk about this later, but you can also host your own registry. It's very, very simple. It's all open sourced. And yeah, let us know if you're interested. So that's about the registry, identity affirming, discovery, visibility, all of those cool things. Oh, I had some slides, I already talked about all of this though. But yeah, as I said, the registry can do all of these things: discovery, verification, capabilities, registration, and maybe more if we get feedback from you. Third thing we'll be launching is the host. As I said, host is sort of your front end to interact and talk with this Nanda registry. This link is a bit outdated. The host is available at, host is available at host.nandaregistry.com, but we are still working on this. This will be seeing a lot of updates in the next couple of hours, but just to give you a sense. Yeah. But we have it up already. So look at this over here. So here's the host. The host is like a browser that allows you to work with our registry, to interface with the protocol. And yeah, all you need is an Anthropic API key right now because we are using Cloud on the backend, but doesn't matter. And when you refresh with the registry, this is directly connected with the registry, so I can choose whichever server that I want to talk with. Let's say let me choose something cool over here. Let's say I want to talk with Spotify. I can add it onto my host. And then let's say I really want to listen to some Dua Lipa songs. So tell me some good Dua Lipa songs. Not Dua Lipa, Dua Lipa. And I ask it this. You can see an activity log trace. I can add as many tools as I want, as many services from the registry.
It's coming specifically from Pradyumna's Spotify account.
Yep. So
and unlike traditional MCP, we have to download the config file locally and run the server locally. This is all happening automatically.
Yeah, so there's a trace on the right side, so we go for a message. There's an API call that goes out, and then hopefully there's a return that comes back. We've been seeing some traffic issues, but yeah.
And the host itself is open source. You can take the code, modify it, add your own branding to it if you want, or add other fancy features, or connect it to other resources that you want to add, or things like that.
Yeah, but yeah. So this is open source. You can check it out. You can have a look. We'll also give a better demo tomorrow as well. But yeah, so that's the host. Connected to our registry, works with our protocol.
What's the consensus mechanism that you ensure that the registry is not corrupt or perhaps malicious?
Let's take that offline. Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah.
Great. So that's the host.
Let him finish.
And then the final part, which is how can you work with us as we build this Nanda protocol together to participate in this Internet of Agents. So there are several ways. You can host a registry with us. You can add your services, APIs, tools on the Nanda registry, and you can contribute with open source coding skills. So the simplest that a lot of folks, as I showed you, almost 40 organizations, but we expect to have a lot more. The first way that you can contribute with us is just take your organization's service, app, tool, whatever you have, wrap it in a simple MCP server right now or another server once we come out with the SDK, and host it on our registry. It's a very simple process. We have all of the instructions on this GitHub, and in fact, we went one step further. I became a YouTuber for this event, and we also have a couple of YouTube videos that you can follow. And I swear every single person in this room has better coding skills than me, but I was able to host an MCP server on the registry in 15 to 20 minutes. So you can do that too. Go back from here and follow these steps, and by tomorrow you'll be up on the Nanda registry as well. So yeah, very simple steps. This video covers a very simple example demo. How can you host the server locally, test it out locally, and then add it to a registry. And before I end, what can you do? as contributors to our MCP server, MCP registry, you can add a simple MCP server that talks about your company's web page. It can be a simple CSV lookup. If you are a company like HCL or Dell who are also working with us, you can add an MCP server about what products you offer. Or if you have an API or a tool, you can wrap an MCP server around that, and maybe many more things. You can look at our registry to get some cool ideas.
Anybody who created the Nanda server with us, how many minutes did it take you? Half an hour, exactly. So it's very quick. We can do a hackathon on Wednesday if you want, and all of you could do it. Who's here on Wednesday? Do you guys want to do it for an hour? We can just get you over.
Yeah.
You should do it? All right, let's do it.
Great.
7 a.m. Like tomorrow's sessions.
6 a.m.
You're a Kumbh Mela guy. All right.
Great, that's about it.
Let's just continue.
Yeah, so how can you partner with us? 3 ways, as I mentioned. As I said, our registry is up, online, distributed, will be synchronized. So if you want to be one of the first people to host the registries of the Internet of Agents, very simple. We have a GitHub repo over here. Go there, run the Docker container, again, up in 15 minutes. Connect your API, launch with us, add your MCP or Nanda server on the Nanda registry. Again, takes 30 minutes. We have a GitHub repo with documentation. We have a YouTube video with a very simple example. And in this world of Claude and ChatGPT to code for us, anything is possible, right? Very quickly. And third, contribute to open source. As we said, this is not the Internet of the Agents. This is us starting the endeavor towards the Internet of Agents. So join us, contribute to open source. There's a long, very exciting journey as we collectively build this together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pradyumna. Hopefully you can get some rest before Wednesday. Now the teams have been working non-stop in pretty much every time zone.
Yeah.
They have all the way from Japan to Mongolia to Europe to India to LATAM to here. We have coders working non-stop.
Just
everywhere.
a quick show of hands. How many people have worked on this code and are in the room here?
Or they're deployed with us.
Yeah.
There's Abhishek here,
Yeah.
here. Yeah. A lot of folks. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for
great,
contributing.
great, awesome. So
Yeah.
shout out to Abhishek. I think he's taken a lot of heavy lifting.
Absolutely.
Abhishek, if you can raise your hand.
Yeah. So that's kind of today, right? That's like version 0.1. You know, we are kind of at par with just traditional solutions that are out there. But think about what you could do going forward. You can add marketplaces, you can add transactions, you can add your own fancy token to it. You can deal with privacy. You can come up with new ways to evaluate your data, like Anna was talking about. There are many, many possibilities. If you go to our website, you can just bring up our website, nanda.edu. You'll see many use cases we have talked about. And you can think about this as, if you think about the financial world, there's SWIFT that allows banks to talk to each other, and that's like TCP/IP/MCP/A2A. But below that, you have credit rating, which is kind of a common good, right? So that's infrastructure layer. And above that is places where you can buy houses, rate them, rank them, get mortgages, and so on. So if you think about the financial system, some people are solving the SWIFT problem. That's not enough at all. You have to solve everything else above and below. And another point to make here is that in the internet and the web, there are a lot of things that were in the application layer. Like think about Yelp, think about all this reputation services were all in the application layer. But because agents are talking to other agents, anytime two agents are talking to each other in some algorithmic or based on software, that can move to the infrastructure layer. The reason why Yelp is not in the infrastructure layer is because there is a messiness of human interacting with machines. That's why it stays in the application layer. But when machines are talking to machines, like in the agentic world, they'll move to actually infrastructure layer. So remember that key difference, that a lot of the things that you see in the application world will move to, move to the infrastructure layer. The other one, to contradict everything we said so far, is that we can use the analogy from the internet and the web era to at least have kind of an initial framework how we should think about it, but it will be completely wrong to anchor the development of Internet of AI agents based on how the Internet of Web Pages was working about. It would be like saying, oh, in the 90s, we should have built the Internet of Web Pages using the model from fax machines, right? So what will emerge is going to be completely different. People in this room and elsewhere are going to define what that looks like. So join us at nanda.org. Maybe we should just do the hackathon today, so you don't have to. Otherwise, it's just going to crash. We just stay on for half an hour afterwards if you want.
That's great.
Excellent. So thank you, everyone.